Well, hello everyone. My name is Jason Dorr. I'm director of a program called More to Life. We are a youth development program that goes into schools and we talk to students about how your choices affect your future. And so basically what we want to do is we want to help you guys make the best choices for your life and also so you can have a great life, but also have a great future and fulfill the plan and purpose that God has for your life. So what we're going to talk about today is a topic that's actually pretty common right now among students in Pinellas County. And it's actually the second most commonly used drug in Pinellas County at this moment. And of course, the drug that I'm talking about is vaping. Okay, vaping has been on the rise for the last several years, and now it's become number two. It actually became number one in 2018, but it's as of 2020, it's bumped down to the number two spot. So vaping is now number two under alcohol. Now let's talk about vaping for a minute because I'll be honest with you guys. Actually had some different thoughts about vaping. I actually thought vaping was a safer alternative. I would be around somebody who was vaping. It didn't smell funny. It didn't smell like cigarette smoke. And as they're breathing it out, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's just water vape. It seems harmless for that person. But then I started doing my homework, started investigating, started going to drug summits, come to find out, no, it's not necessarily a safer alternative. Actually, it's a lot more dangerous than smoking cigarettes. So that's what I want to talk about with you guys. First things first, I want to show you guys a video. Now, you might have seen these commercials on TV for the real cost. Usually they're about 30 seconds, just like a typical commercial. But I want to show you a more lengthier video of vaping put out by the real cost because I want to show you students who are vaping. They're actually coming out and saying that it's not a safer alternative, that it's causing all sorts of problems in my life. And so we're going to watch this video and I really pay attention to their stories because it is real and these things do happen. So check this out.
Hi, it's Caitlin.
Hey guys, it's Isaac.
Hey, it's Chloe. It's Katie. I have the craziest story to tell you. My chest would start to hurt. I'd get really, really dizzy. I couldn't really breathe.
My heart started cramping up.
It's beating so fast. My chest would feel like it was on fire. Sometimes I would even pass out. My name is Katie Jo. I'm 11 years old and I started vaping in July. I'm Caitlin. I started vaping 3 years ago.
My name's Isaac and I started vaping at 17.
I'm Chloe. I'm 17 and I started vaping when I was 15. As soon as I started vaping, I started having panic attacks. I thought it just affected your body and not your mindset. It was making me feel less than who I was. My confidence was just dropping.
I thought vaping could be a stress reliever because most of my friends were doing it and they were telling me how it helped them through school and homework, and I was trying to make a decision of where I wanted to play college football at, and I was just extremely stressed, so I picked it up and tried it.
Vaping does not make you relaxed. If anything, it makes it so that you are more anxious. At first, I didn't think it was addictive. I thought I was kind of stronger than it, but soon I realized it was holding kind of a power over me. I would leave class and use it, and I was always craving more and more. It was never enough.
A lot of people assumed I was happy all the time, but once I got home, I would go to my room and it'd just be depression and sadness and loneliness, and I felt like no one was there for me.
Well, I started isolating myself from a lot of people, friends, family, in the world. My anxiety got really bad after I started vaping. It wouldn't even have to do with vaping. It would just be about anything really. And it was odd because I was never an anxious person before.
I realized what vaping really did to me. It was not helping me cope. It was canceling out my ability to cope.
I started to feel anxious and it wasn't happening to anybody else. So that meant that something was wrong with me. That just made me feel even more anxious and even more sad.
It made my anxiety so bad I couldn't even leave the house. I was scared to go to school. And then once I stopped, everything got better. I started a club at my school with my friend Tommy. We decided that other people needed a support group to like know that they're backed when they wanted to quit.
You don't have to keep doing it if it's not something that you really want to be doing.
I'm someone that has done it, and so I kind of want to be that voice for the like generation coming up to make sure they don't make the same mistakes.
So there you have it. There's stories out there of students that have actually started vaping and dealt with all sorts of consequences that are affecting their life now, but also affecting their future. So I thank God that they did quit and that they are seeing the dangers of it and that they are helping others not go down the same road they did. So let's look at some information here. I want to show you this. There's a gentleman on the screen there. His name is Dr. Jerome Adams, and he's actually the former U.S. Surgeon General. In fact, last February, I actually had the honor to go to a drug summit and hear him speak. He was phenomenal, and he talked about a lot of things. And so the U.S. Surgeon General stated that in 2018, 3.6 million U.S. youth currently use e-cigarettes. That's a lot. 3.6 million currently use e-cigarettes. Whether they've tried it or they continually use it, it's becoming a thing. It's becoming an epidemic. That means 1 out of 5 high school students and 1 out of 20 middle school students have tried it or have done it before or continue to do it on a regular basis. And those numbers are growing by the minute. Students believe that vaping is safe because it's just water vape. And like I said earlier, I thought the same thing. It's just water vape. It's healthier. It's cleaner. It's not tar and nicotine like regular cigarettes. That has been debunked. That's actually a lie now. In fact, the U.S. Surgeon General said at the conference I went to is vaping should be referred to as aerosols instead of vaping. Because when you say vaping, it sounds nicer, it sounds cleaner, healthier. It's just a puff of air you can walk through with no problems, right? But when you say aerosols, game changer. Because anyone may say, well, I don't mind breathing vape into my lungs. But when you say aerosols, like nobody wants to do that. Like, whoa, I don't want to do that. That's damaging. And that's the case. We call it vaping, but it really should be referred to as aerosols because there's a lot of dangerous chemicals that are in these vape pens you could be breathing into your lungs and into your body. In fact, there are 44 carcinogens. Carcinogens are what they're called cancer-causing agents that are found in these vape pens. And some of these vape pens can be bought at a high-end shop. You go to a vape shop, and if you buy the vape pen and all the juices and cartridges that go with it, you're probably going to spend around $100. Now, I can guarantee you that most of the people listening to this video probably don't have $100 because that's a lot of money, right? So they will go the cheap route. They will go to a gas station. They will go to a friend. They will go online, buy a cheaply made one with these liquids that they're putting in the vape pens and have no idea what's in these juices and liquids. Nobody knows. And so they're putting them in, they're breathing, they're vaping these liquids and juices. And the thing is, it can have some carcinogens that are traced in these vape pens. That can include lead, which is used in car batteries, highly toxic. It can be formaldehyde, which is used to preserve dead bodies. Acetone, which is used for nail polish remover, and also nickel, which can cause damage to your lungs as well. So again, it's a gamble. You have no idea when somebody hands you a vape pen or you purchase a vape pen and don't spend that much money on it, you have no idea what you're getting, and it can cause major problems. In fact, as of 2020, last year, a total of over 2,000 hospital vaping cases or deaths have been reported to the CDC from all 50 states. So over 2,000 cases throughout the US. A few different health conditions that have developed due to vaping are popcorn lung. And this is when the airways in your lungs get clogged or blocked. And all of a sudden your lungs start to bubble up and it kind of looks like popcorn. But the thing is, all of a sudden you can't breathe. They're like struggling to breathe. They're just like, what do I do? And you got to get rushed to the hospital and get some surgery. You got to get that taken care of. Lung cancer. Now check this out. When you think of lung cancer, normally you think of, a family member that's been smoking 2 packs a day for 40 years, and then all of a sudden they have lung cancer, and they could it could be fatal to them, right? That's typically when you think about lung cancer, but think about lung cancer now for a student that's been vaping. In fact, I spoke at a school in Tampa a few years ago, and this teacher stood up and addressed the class and said her high school son has lung cancer because of vaping. Crazy, high school student. He can't even go to school. He's on chemotherapy, and he just can't function in society because of what's going on with his lungs. So it could develop lung cancer, popcorn lung, and other lung infections as well. It is a gamble, and again, it's having effects on a student's lungs sooner than later. Cigarettes have effects on your lungs, but it's over time where it really takes a full effect. Vaping, not the case. It's creating more problems now. Now, you might have heard of Juul. Juul is like the most common, popular, vape pen that's out there. If you go to a convenience store, they're right up front where they're being sold. Juul contains nicotine. In fact, the commercials are very clear about that. They say Juul contains nicotine, which is a addictive chemical. It's right in the commercial. And it is addictive, just like smoking cigarettes. Now, here's the difference. It says here, one concentrated Juul pod is equal to a whole pack of cigarettes. So if you smoke one cigarette, obviously contains nicotine. If you smoke a Juul pod or vape a Juul pod, it's equivalent to smoking a whole pack of cigarettes. So it's almost like you smoked a whole pack of cigarettes all at once. So it does have nicotine in it. And so there are people that try to use vape pens to quit smoking. So they will buy a vape pen. They think, hey, you know what? I'm going to use this vape pen to wean off cigarettes. And if they start using Juul, which contains nicotine, which is actually equivalent to a whole pack of cigarettes, they're not going to kick the habit. Basically, they're going to switch from cigarettes to vaping because they're going from one nicotine product to another, and they're now addicted to vaping. I've heard I have a family member that goes back and forth from smoking cigarettes to vaping. There has been some people in my life that I know of that actually use vaping to quit smoking. They lower the dosage each time and eventually were successful, and they did wean off cigarettes. But for the most part, that's not everybody's story. They want that fix. And so they will go from one thing to another and become addicted to either or both. I even heard stories of students started vaping and then switched to cigarettes. They're like, hey, vaping's not so bad. It's easy. That means smoking the real thing could be just as easy, and they switch from one thing to another. So it doesn't help you to kick the habit. It actually intensifies and makes it worse, and you're addicted for a long time until you choose to quit and get some help you need. So with that said, what is the one thing that is meant to go in your lungs without fail? Hopefully you answered it correctly. It's air or oxygen. The thing is, when it comes to air or oxygen, you know exactly what you're getting. If you go, you know what you're getting, right? But if somebody hands you a vape pen and you start vaping, you have no idea what's in that vape pen. There are some students that will lace it with other drugs, THC, which is marijuana, which is actually a felony. I don't know if you knew that, but if you are vaping marijuana, it's a felony, and you can go to jail, or the person that gave you the vape pen can go to jail. I have a teenage son. He's 14 now. I think it was last year. He was on the basketball court in our neighborhood near our house, and the 16-year-old handed him a vape pen. He's like, hey, you want to try this? And he said, no, thank you. And the reason why he said no, thank you is because he and I had these talks about vape pens. He's actually sat in my presentations. And so proud of him. He did the right thing. And because he did the right thing, he influenced a 7-year-old who thought about trying it. He actually told my son, he goes, I was going to try it, but because you said no, I decided to say no as well. So that's the way to go, guys. Just say no. I don't care who it is. I don't even care if it's your best friend in the whole world. They hand you a vape pen, say no thank you, because again, it's a gamble, and you want clean air. You want clean lungs and healthy lungs, and putting anything into your lungs for that matter. It doesn't matter what it is, even marijuana. You just don't know what the long-term damage is going to be. So I want to end with this Bible verse. This is 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, the temptations in your life are no different than what others experience. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, he will show you a way out. so you can endure. So again, that temptation may come knocking at your door, and somebody hands you that vape pen and you want to fit in, you want to be accepted, but God's provided a way of escape. And so use those refusal skills and say no. And not only say no, but get on out of there. Just use that back door, that way of escape that God's provided, so you don't have to endure under that temptation. Be wise, be smart. Don't just stick around because that pressure may get a little bit heated, and they may keep pressuring you. Say, come on, live a little. Just try one. You'll like it. And they're not going to let up. They're not going to take no for an answer. So you have to remove yourself. You have to get yourself out of that situation. Just like Joseph had to run out of Potiphar's house because Potiphar's wife was coming on to him, and he knew it was wrong. He escaped. He fled that situation. And that's the best way always to handle temptation. One more verse before we close is 1 Corinthians 10:23. It says, you say, I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. You say, I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. So yes, we have freedom in Christ. We live in a free society. America's a free country, right? But not everything's good. Even though we have the freedom to do whatever we want, doesn't mean everything's good for you. Doesn't mean everything's beneficial to you. There are some things that you may feel like, hey, it's no big deal. We have freedom and I can do whatever I want. But is that thing that you're doing really good for you? Is it good for your health? Is it good for your life? Is it good for your future? And is it beneficial? You may feel it's fine for the moment, but is it going to benefit you in the long run as you become addicted to vaping, cigarettes, etc.? So with that said, my friends, always make the right choice. Always say no. Always walk away, and always do the right thing, because in the end, your choices matter and your choices affect your future. Okay, guys? Well, thank you so much. If you ever have questions for us, you can visit our website at m2l.org. That's m2l.org. And send us an email. We love to answer any of your questions, okay? We're also on social media. Check us out on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, okay? Thank you guys so much. Take care and have a great day.